Out of all the captivating characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender, many people find themselves most drawn to the beloved, wise old firebender Iroh, who accompanies the banished Prince Zuko on his journey to capture the Avatar. Despite being an ally of the Season 1 antagonist, Iroh was nevertheless one of the most important moral compasses in the story. But what can we learn from how Iroh loves Zuko? Let's talk about it. Good morning, nerds. I'm Nathan, your nerd pastor here at Checkpoint Church. If this is your first video, welcome. If this is your second or third or however many, welcome back. We're so glad that you're here in this Advent of the Nerd series as we celebrate the week of love. As we get started with this video, we are going to start with our scripture as always. This time it is coming from a book in the Old Testament known as Job, chapter 2, verse 11. I'll be reading from the NRSV this morning. That's just my preferred translation. It's what's going to be on the screen. If you have another translation you prefer, feel free to use that as well. Now, when Job's three friends heard of all these troubles that had come upon him, each of them set out from his home: Eliphaz from Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They met together to go and console and comfort him. So much can be said about wise old Uncle Iroh. He's the older brother of the Fire Nation Lord, and he didn't become the Lord himself because he recused himself from public affairs following the death of his son. Without going into too much spoiler territory, just know that Iroh wasn't able to continue doing as he did, given the death of his only child. When we meet Iroh in the story, he's tagging along with his banished nephew, who also happens to be the prince, Zuko, as he hunts down our main character, Aang, the Avatar. For the first season, Zuko really is the main antagonist, so it's surprising that someone who is tagging along with the main antagonist would be somebody that we like so much. Even knowing that the pursuit of the Avatar is wrong, Iroh, for some reason, decides to stick alongside his nephew Zuko, offering up sarcasm, parables, and excellent tea along the journey. Like I said, there's really a lot we can learn about Iroh. Should we learn to love in a way that is like a surrogate family, in the sense that Iroh semi-adopts Zuko as his own son? Well, that's a great idea. Should we learn to love as a means of mentorship and being a good influence on those who are where we once were? Sure. Should we love drinking tea? I think so. But for this video, I want to focus on one factor of Iroh alone, and that is that Iroh stays with Zuko, no matter what. Before I get too deep in this idea, I want to be extra clear of what I am saying and what I'm not saying. I am not suggesting in the slightest that anyone should stay in an abusive situation. While I do think that even abusers are equally worthy of God's forgiveness and God's grace, they are not worthy necessarily of your forgiveness and your grace. This is purely in a situation where you are both safe to love someone without fear of harm or fear of abuse. Wanted to get that out of the way because sometimes words can be twisted. I do not condone domestic violence in the slightest. And if you are in an abusive relationship, there are sources that you can turn to that I'll link down below. With that out of the way, let's get to what I'm actually saying here. And we'll start by looking at our scripture. So Job is a really messy story. Odds are, even if you're not a Christian or if you haven't been in church, you've heard the story of Job. Things do not go well for our main man, Job. The story that gets told in the Bible is that God and the devil are chit-chatting about this really honorable guy who is sinless and just really upright and upstanding named Job. God's real proud of him, and the devil is a little jealous, and so the devil says that he can break Job. God is certain that won't happen, but he says, hey, you can try. And so the fallen angel does, and Job quite literally loses everything and everyone: his family, his children, his home, his body, his sanity. It's really, really rough. The story goes on and really just seems like a series of unfortunate events. After losing everything, though, Job is still standing somewhat strong, but he's starting to lose it just a bit. And so, hearing of all this loss, these three friends come around to be with Job during his trying time in an effort, like our scripture told us, to console and comfort him. Now, I want to give these guys just a little bit of credit because often you hear about these three friends being the worst friends ever, and they aren't the best. Even though they do more harm than help, I want to give them the credit that they came to be with Job. They came just to be with him, to console and comfort him. I think that's an honorable thing to do. I really think they start out with the right intentions, but then things go sour as they try to rebuke and chastise and judge Job and tell him that he's deserving of this pain and agony because of something he has done. Anybody ever heard anything like that before? That's what the bad people say in the story. Now, a fourth wall break here is that we, the readers, know this to be false. We know that Job is not worthy of this pain. God clearly states that Job is honorable and not deserving of this agony. So the three friends who end up pointing this accusatory finger, that's actually unjustified, and they end up getting punished for it later in the story. I really hate this part of the story because they start out with the right idea, but then they botch up the job on arrival. So what exactly went wrong? Where did these three friends fall short? The easy answer is that they weren't the judges of Job. God was the judge, and they took on a role that wasn't theirs. They tried to fill shoes that weren't theirs to fill. Back to Ero. If he would have been the one to go and to be with Job, he wouldn't have pointed a finger. He wouldn't have harshly judged Job. Instead, Ero would have offered him tea and sat with him through his pain. He maybe would have offered colloquialisms and proverbs and jokes just to make things easier for Job. He would have just been with him. This is exactly what Ero does for Zuko, and it ends up leading to significant character change for the Angry Prince, who ends up making a pretty serious turnaround into a much more likable and redeemable character. Ero is patient and kind and one of the purest examples of love that we have in media. So I want to take a moment and speak to my fellow Christian here for just a moment. We could learn so much from Ero if we would all just calm down and just be present with those other than us. If we could just stop judging for half a second and take time to just be with others, I think we'd be amazed at the relationships that we could build. Now, to the rest of you that aren't Christians or maybe have been hurt by a judgmental Justin before, I'm sorry that happened. And I want you to know that we are just as broken and hurting as anyone else on planet Earth. So maybe you need to be the bigger person and be patient like Ero and love your Christian friends into a more loving place themselves. Make no mistake, Job's friends were devoutly religious and they still messed up. So let me just assure you that the Christian friend that judged you so harshly, they are far from perfect. But judging them right back, that's only going to do more harm. The true answer to this love that builds relationships and really changes people is a love that is patient and takes time. And a love that is just simply present. So maybe the next time you feel like judging someone and casting the first stone before you really get to know them, maybe just boil a pot of water, make some nice, soothing tea. Thank you so much for watching this video. I so appreciate you taking time out of your day and watching this. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought about this. Share with a friend who you think might like more of these nerdy devotionals. If you're looking to take this a little bit deeper, feel free to use our prayer in the description down below. If you are the praying type, that's something you can do right here, right now to dive a little bit deeper into this message. If you are the journaling type, we have a guidebook that is absolutely free, linked down in the description box. And if you are the community type and want a conversation a little bit deeper than the comment section can allow, feel free to join our Discord where we're building community together. With that, let's get Ero up on this tree. And there we go. Officially, we only have one character left to go. I hope that you're going to be able to join us tomorrow for our final video in this video series, our final Advent ornament. We're still going to have one video after the series that's going to come out, but it's not going to be quite like these. So we're only having one left tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you so much for joining us for these videos. I so greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us. With that, I think that's all we have for this episode. So until next time, everybody, bye-bye!